cell that I'm watching for rotations, Yadkin County and Surrey County, right here along, let's see, that's 601. Yep, 601 there. Birch, Rockford, Sugartown, Yadkinville, and it would be moving down 601 too, toward 421. Watch out Winston-Salem, watch out Stanleyville, Walkertown, watch out Stokes County as well. This tends to be an area where we do see spin because of the topography for whatever reason. There's also a curl around southern Patrick County. You've got some really heavy rain there around Stewart, Dobbins, and Woolwine. And it's a little bit lighter up toward Woolwine. Henry County getting hit very hard over Chatmoss right now. Again, we've had some hail in these storms. We've had lots of trees down. Here's Figsboro. Ridgeway, nothing yet, but watch out. You've got those cells upstream. Got a tree down on the house now on Waller Lane. I've got something I can't show you. It's all our meteorologists and everything. We talk on National Weather Service chat. They'll actually give a heads up if they're going to put out a tornado warning. But I'm not allowed to say what the chat says. I can look at it. But I honestly, I took the classes myself, so I've analyzed the radar. And so I kind of just do my own thing anyway. Person County, which is south of Danville and south of South Boston. South Boston on 360, you got a pretty heavy cell there. Danville proper itself, you've got some lightning just to your east around Ringgold. That was the place I was trying to think of. But as you head back toward 58, you head back into Henry County, into Axton and Chatmoss, beware the storm could start spinning or at least produce some straight line winds. Look at this notch here as well here. This is an inflow notch or an outflow notch. Climax to Poolins, Museville, that's just north of 57 into Pennsylvania County, and around 29 there. And on 40, as you make your way out of Pinhook, get into Ajax there and cross those hilly areas, and there's some places where they've been cutting the trees in those fields. They're doing some road construction. I think I used to take that route a lot for football games. Gretna's a great little place, but this is heading your way too, so you need to take shelter, and especially along the water in the lake. The worst of the wind may be to your south, but Leesville Lake and especially some of these, let's see, Clarksville area and Bugs Island Lake, water has no friction, so the winds can be a little bit worse here. Let's see. This storm here is moving east at 35 miles per hour. Quarter-sized hail possible. Look at the reflectivity here. It goes all the way up into the blue from purple. I created this so I could see if we had, that's likely some hail. Boyd's Store, and that's probably some pretty large hail too, actually. So that's in southwest Halifax County, and it's kind of moving to the east-southeast toward Virgilina here in Cluster Springs. Take cover away from windows. Lots of lightning behind this stuff. Notice the lightning's all behind the storm. So again, if you say, okay, the worst is over, I'm going to go outside and check out the damage, it's just raining a little bit. Keep in mind, the majority of the lightning, people get hit because they go out like that and they get tricked. The lightning, you'll get some lightning before the storm. Not to say you won't get any during, but there's a fair amount behind it, as you see here from Glade Hill into Rocky Mount. Seeing if we have any more reports here. Very concerned about this Yadkin County cell into Surrey County. Let me go back here on this display. Again, red's going away from the radar and green's going toward the radar. So this is hard for the National Weather Service because this is at the lowest level they can scan. But because of the curvature of the Earth, we are looking at 4,500 feet up in the storm. So we don't really know for sure what's going on the surface. There's also a few areas here in Stewart and again, just on the Virginia North Carolina line in Patrick County there going into Stokes County that are giving hints at spin. Sometimes that can just cloud the radar though, so we have to be careful and watch that. Got a new severe thunderstorm warning for Campbell County, Danville, and Halifax. I think you just saw that pop up there. There it is. And that's for this wind that's coming east. We'll put it in motion again. You can see it, how it moved through. Boom. And then you've got what's going on now. And again, I think we could see some what they call QCLS activity. And you've got a quasi line. It's not a perfect line. It's got notches in it, and within those notches you can get some tornadoes, and they're very tricky to try to forecast. Let me go back to the regular radar here. You see the bookend vortex. Look at this. Just showing you. I'm going to draw it for you here. I get into weather and I try to teach people. I think it's one of the things that affects everybody, and if it's going to let me, can I choose a color? Odd. Okay. Let's go with it. So watch this. Do you see the curl? Let me make it a little bit bigger. Well, it's not let me choose. That upsets me because it just I paid a little extra so I could get more colors on this thing. But whatever. I can still show it to you this way. So check out the swirl. Let me get rid of the old drawing. This is so easy to see. That's a bookend vortex. So it's not a tornado, it's just a vortex that's been created by the fact that there was so much wind blowing outward from this that it created this bow echo. So you have to watch these bow echoes again for the fact that you do get these swirls in the radar signature. And I bet if we looked at other products, we'd see the same thing. I bet if you looked at ZDR, you see the higher values there. If you look at spectrum width, you can see a fair amount of different winds there. There's some rotation there near Gretna, but it's not tight enough yet. We've got some lowering, probably some small limbs and leaves that are getting blown around here. Our KVP values also follow that swirl. So that's pretty interesting. And let's go up in the atmosphere and see. All the way up to, gosh, this is up to 12,000 feet. So this is still rain up at 2,000 feet above the freezing level. And that's a lot of rain in a compact area. That's probably some hail in there as well. Melting hail. This is a look at the Ville density, and it gives you an idea of where the hail could be. Get rid of my drawing here. So hail and straight line winds and tornadoes still continue as a threat. The warnings still continue, folks. We're nowhere close to being done, just quite yet. We've got at least, I don't know, we've got that low still way back in Kentucky, but I don't see a lot of activity with that. So maybe this is the last line. We'll have to watch. See, back through here, this is the low, but I think it's more like right here now. Either way, it's concerning. Yadkinville, still, I'm worried about this rotation. And I'm worried about this rotation now. We're starting to see some near, let's see, that would be George's Mill. Let me get up here. Sandy Ridge, Danbury, so that's Stokes County. As you make your way on Route 8, this cell here that's close to George's Mill, Claudeville, and to get your bearings, this is Stewart here. This is one of the areas where we start to see, because of topography, we start to see stuff spin. What happens is you've got rotation over the mountains. It comes off the mountains, and so that rotation extends down to the ground. And if you're watching an ice skater and you have, arms out, you're going to rotate but slower. Or like if I get in this chair right now and I start to spin and I bring my arms in, I'm going to increase. That's conservation of angular momentum. So mountains actually can play a role in intensifying rotation as the storms come off of them if the environment is right, and it is right, ripe and right for development today. So I'm watching this area here for the possibility, and I'm watching this. You see the National Weather Service in Raleigh has gone ahead. Raleigh takes over Winston-Salem. So Walkertown, I mentioned that. I gave you kind of an early warning there that now this is a new severe thunderstorm warning out until 9 with up to 50 mile per hour winds. Let's see if they have the tag tornado possible. They do not. Let's see if the warning here in Yadkinville has it. They do not. And I don't understand that, but it's all good, and as long as they know it, the Weather Service, they probably know a little more than me, but at the same time, I don't like what I'm seeing there in North Carolina. Let's go back up into Virginia here. You see the warnings mainly cover south side, so I would say right now you are okay in the NRV and west, but there are some more storms coming. We've got the front still back here, and I'm a little bit worried about that moving through a little bit later on. See, we got any more storm reports too. So just some rain. Bedford, we've got just rain for you. Let's see if we've got any spin in there. We've got some spin showing up there in Amherst County. See that right there? You'll see green and red here if I do this. Very small areas of spin, but even in this stratiform rain, which is normally where we would not see tornadoes, you're also seeing a lot of wind changing direction, changing speed by these higher colors here around Arrington and Gladstone and Amherst. So you've got some spin. You can see Big Island, Amherst, and Gladstone. You've got at least some spin going on. And you can see the enhancement. Notice the curl. The problem is if this develops, we get a tornado warning up here, kind of like the one in West Virginia, you're not going to see it because it's going to be rain wrapped. It's raining everywhere. And you see on YouTube a lot, people are out there and it's some kind of thing where you want to go outside and see it yourself. But it's gonna get you if you go outside. It's just no way you're going to be able to sense it coming. It'll be like windy for a little bit, windy, and then like within half a second, it's going to go from that to just devastation if a tornado like that forms. So I tell folks all the time, do not go outside and wait. It kills people, unfortunately, when that happens. Got more rotation here. Looks like at Rockbridge County, Glasgow here. There's some spin here. I think the Weather Service is being pretty wise about not putting out too many tornado warnings. They probably based that on their other tornado warnings where they didn't get actual tornado reports. So they said, okay, well, if we've got this much spin and we didn't get a report, even though the radar is showing it, we may hold off a little bit more. Large tree down in Smith County. That may be delayed, a delayed report. Power outage due to fallen trees in Person County. Just some very high wind going into Gretna and Chatham now as well. This is that straight line wind I was talking about. This is right up 29 out of Danville. So you folks riding up that road are going to be hit very hard by this. In fact, what we should do is pull up VDOT cameras and also look at that. There are so many tools, sometimes I forget to use them all. But we'll keep this radar up for right now. Let's pull up our browser here. There's a lot of tabs I do not need. I was trying to do RSS feeds earlier, and they were tricky. So let me close those so we still can operate here. So let's go to v.511. And so what I do is I go on weather, I look at wind gust, because they've got sensors that pick that up. I don't see a lot there, so I'm going to go back into the legend, and we're going to turn off the construction. We're going to turn off inactive cameras. We're just going to look at what they call incidents, special events. Usually what that is weather related. So let's go down here. This is where we had all that wind. The traffic information is showing traffic at a standstill between Sidnersville and Commerce Road there. That was that area gets hit by that straight line wind a lot. It's happened before. Also near Fork Mountain, traffic's at a standstill. You know why? I bet the trees are blocking the road. So let's see what we got here. We've actually got a vehicle crash. All southbound lanes are closed in 220. Now, I don't have anything showing up near Fork Mountain as far as information, but that black indicates that near Muddy Fork Road there's no movement whatsoever. People are not being able to get out there. I wish we had a camera, or VDOT had a camera out there. We can, I want to make sure, thought we had some cameras on 29, so let's see if we can catch some of this wind coming in. And it's a little blurry. What else do we have? I don't want to go that far back. Oh, I've got to do all this again. It's okay though. Open bridges, take that off. Alright. What's going on? You can tell by the traffic. Right there, I was mentioning just east of Danville. We've had a lot of wind that way and a lot of storminess. I don't have a signal coming out of that camera, but I've got motorists can expect delays on Route 58 East as of 7:31 due to weather. So there's probably some trees down here. I just got another alert that just came out. Tree down there, 220 in Rocky Mountain, Franklin County. So yeah, that's what this is, the tree down. Like I say, probably multiple trees down in a lot of areas from this. This is very serious. In fact, you can see here we've got a law enforcement on the scene here near Philpott Highway. There's some kind of crash or something going on. Somebody's pulled over there. I know that's a bit hard to see. That's on 58 where we were talking about, so that may be where they blocked it off. I've got to find a way to get rid of these cameras without going backwards. Okay, message line. So it looks like we've got a couple of trees down, 220 at least. And we've also got 58 there, some trees down. So this camera was showing police blocking the traffic. So right here between, it looks like Turbeville and as you get closer to Philpott Road here is where the traffic slows down. And hopefully the trees weren't falling on people. South Boston's getting just some rain right now. Looking at the radar, it looks like we've got still some very heavy activity over Henry County. So if you're listening to me on the radio, hopefully you are. We've got the possibility of some very, very strong winds moving through. And you're seeing sheets of rain now on 29 there south of Chatham, and lightning there as well. I think that's near the sheets. Pouring down rain. People are driving around, but it is dangerous to do that you know, with trees falling down and stuff. Yeah, you can see it's in sheets, so, you know, that's some decent wind. Probably not the worst wind, but, you know, some of these cameras, we're trying to get as close as we can. We're starting to see traffic slow down near Dry Fork as well. And we're going to see the same thing start to happen there near South Boston and Cluster Springs, I think, with the continuation of what's going on here. There's 58 coming out of Danville. It looks fine there. Let's go into Henry County and check things out again. Just pouring down rain there on 220. And again, at any time we could have tornadoes or straight line wind damage. So we've got the police there on 58 blocking that area due to trees down. I'm trying to see other cameras. That's Philpott Highway. You see no traffic on the road there. So maybe folks are heeding the warnings here and being smart about this. There's a big break in the action through the NRV. There's more activity up here toward the Lynchburg area, though. This is embedded rotation that I'm concerned about here. I'm going to look in Livingston here. You can see it raining there very heavily. And again, anything that moved through would be rain wrapped. There are 3 cells that I'm watching, and I may have to go to other radars too, right in that area. So let's check out Lynchburg really quick. 460 near Liberty there. Just a lot of wind and rain. Hard to tell from the cameras how bad it is. I know when they pixelate sometimes that can mean something else. Alright, let me go back to our radar. So here's the area that's okay right now. But look at all the damage reports from earlier. But let's go to a wider view, if you will. Let me also do this. Reload this satellite image. See if I've got it still showing up here on one of my. Yep. So as the sun sets, I want to show you something here in just a second. I've got a switcher here I'm routing stuff into. That's on this source. Move that up for you. And I'll get rid of my picture here for a minute. Look at the tops of these clouds. That's pretty impressive. You see the nightfall coming, but you see the blow up there of these thunderstorms as they tower up into the atmosphere. Finally got my color choices back here. Right through here. You see that blow up, and you see another blow up here. You know, again, I'm very concerned about the southern part of this area. See, there's a V-notch there. That's air that's diverging aloft. And I'm trying to see if we have any more activity. Looks like there's more activity in Tennessee that we may have to watch moving east. Some of that may move north with time because that's near the low itself. So I'm going to pull up a another version of WSV3. Ooh, actually I've got, I know what I'll do. Forgot I've got GR Earth here too. Alright, so let me get rid of some of this confusing stuff here. These are the, you can't see that. Let me show you. Whew. Boy, that's messy. Let me get rid of, let's see. all this stuff. Let me get rid of this area here. Is a look at the index of rotation. You can see it's still very high. So we're getting rid of that. We'll get rid of the meso overlay as well. We'll get rid of the special updates. And we'll get rid of the satellite. So now you can see that we had some rotation that moved through with that bookend vortex. You can also see that rotation there around Yadkinville with that storm. So now we can look at actual radar data. And look at the curl still showing up in Chatham. That's the bookend vortex. Again, that's broad rotation because we've got a lot of wind in Chatham right now. And that's not good. You can see that that's from the one in Franklin County. These are hail tracks. The big storm that got the biggest hail and still is doing it moved from Danville to Milton, south of Virgilina, and is now moving north into Stovall in North Carolina. We had some hail there around Rocky Mount as well. (82 degrees). That's the heat index in Winston-Salem because it is so humid and warm. So what I want to do is zoom out so I can get an idea of what the radar is doing. You see, we've got this is kind of the warm front here too. I don't want to forget folks from Lexington to Richmond on 29 here, from Dillon into areas just north of Farmville. These cells are showing signs of rotation. In fact, you can see that, that's rain wrapped, but yeah, these are rotating as well. And this is the area where the tornado warning was issued. I'm guessing they didn't get any damage reports. So again, they watched, and that's that same, the model showed this. If you're a Patreon supporter, you saw this on the model. They actually picked up the NAM had a long tracked spin from West Virginia all the way through and had more areas of spin in south side. All right, I'm going to put a regular satellite on here. Well, it's all enhanced, so I might just get rid of it. Sometimes it's better to look at stuff in a more simple way. All right. So we'll put this in motion and let it load. Might take a second. You can see the one tornado warning there that was issued earlier. This will take a second to load all the information. It's probably about an hour and a half, 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours of loops here. So again, the good news is in the NRV, I don't see anything upstream. There are some showers and stuff that's going on here. We've got another line from Asheville down through Tennessee, and we've got some flooding in Knoxville from the storm, flash flooding. We've got an area of storms that just moved through the North Carolina mountains. They are moving more toward the Hickory, Asheville area. Again, it's a weird track. It's moving east, so sometimes we'd be worried about this moving north, but this is all drier air up through here. I can show you that by showing you the dew points. And I know that's kind of weird looking, but that's the drier air that's moving in. Probably had a different color palette for that, but twist. All right. One thing I do want to see is the wind direction. Watch this. What we're looking for is counterclockwise rotation, and we're looking at actual reports. We're not going off of what that they, the models think. So right now, the greatest wind shear is where we're going to have winds out of the south. ahead of this. So from Lynchburg and east and south towards South Boston, got a bit of a curl here too, around Chase City and again Bugs Island Lake, Clarksville, Virgilina. That one's trying to rotate and has a little bit of rotation with it. The cell that I was watching earlier is now moved into Winston-Salem, but we've got still some activity kind of upstream in a flanking fashion here. Just all kinds of stuff. And then we've got embedded rotating storms. Just a lot to study here. We've had the big hailstorms. Current rotation is highest in Amherst. There from Monroe to Amherst, north of Lynchburg. As you make your way up 29 out of Lynchburg there. And this isn't a spot normally that I would, say to watch out for tornadoes, but yeah, it's still rotating. Now areas, Floyd County, you're good. Blacksburg, you're in the clear. All of the NRV's in the clear. It looks like West Virginia's in the clear too. Poor Martinsville and Henry County, you're not under a warning, but you're getting a lot of rain that's still falling here. Very heavy rain and a lot of lightning. You may end up seeing some flooding because Bassett Forks, I know, is an area that's really susceptible to that. So that's a brief overview of the radar, just to kind of get our bearings here so we know what's going on. And if we look at the satellite picture too, or the infrared, you see this is the wave that's coming through right now aloft. You see that dry air right against the moist air and all that moisture that came up. This is aloft, okay? But at the surface, our winds are coming in out of the south. So that's why we had that wind shear going on. Behind this now, and we're actually still out of the southwest in the NRV, but once you don't have anything upstream just yet, I think you're probably done. Once you get that northwest wind and these cooler temperatures, lower dew points, you go from the 60s, you'll feel the difference in the air after midnight tonight. You see 30s and 40s as far as dew points are concerned. So we get some of this dry air in here. And if you want to cut hay, I mentioned on the radio, after today, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you're good to go. Next chance of rain, Saturday, in the form of scattered showers anyway. All right, so let's make sure I'm not leaving anybody out here. Got the clouds on. Those are the other computers behind me there. So I wanted to just kind of go over some stuff with you here, and I don't know if I have this as an input or not. I do. So right now we've got a severe thunderstorm warning in effect, and I wanted to... Where's my trike? And bye. I wanted to show you the safety precautions to take, even in a severe thunderstorm warning. So I've got that popped up for you now. Behind me, let's get it up. Let's get it up here. And I'll get rid of myself here. Okay, so severe thunderstorm warning. And again, you're not under a warning in Henry County. You're under a special weather statement now, though, which is sometimes a precursor of a warning. But you folks, Winston-Salem in North Carolina, Henry County, Pittsylvania County, Halifax County now. Severe thunderstorm warning means, in this case, you can have damage just like you would see in a tornado in spots. So you need to get into a sturdy shelter in these areas and away from windows. Don't use plumbing because of the lightning that can travel through. Also, it travels through your Ethernet and any cables that you have. It's amazing. But if there's a lot of lightning, you don't have time, just go ahead and let your homeowners take care of that, homeowners insurance. And typically you want to get into a low place and away from windows, and a sturdy shelter. Almost like a tornado warning. You need to treat it like that in this situation. And again, that's not for anyone in the NRV. It's not for Roanoke now, and Franklin County is actually, I think, in the clear. But if you're in the Lynchburg area, in the Danville area, toward the Winston-Salem area and east, and down into North Carolina, you are still under the gun for severe thunderstorm warnings, and you still have some, actually, in effect. Shed storage facilities are not safe. Large auditoriums and gyms, that 80-mile-an-hour wind will lift the roof right off. Also, with tornado warnings, it's a myth. If you open the windows, it allows the air to blow through, and it can save you from getting a lot of damage. What ends up happening is it doesn't matter because you're wasting time by doing that. The tornado's going to hit you. Tornado's going to hit you. No tornado warnings out right now, but if one's issued, let's just go over this. You never want to try to outrun it, especially with the rain wrapped activity. And I think we may get some warnings here before we're done, north of Lynchburg and towards South Side in North Carolina. I still see rotation there. And again, this is supposed to happen, was originally supposed to happen right through the 11 o'clock hour. We've got that sinking air behind that sinking air behind the major storm that moved through here. You see that? So we had so much lift. When the air was lifted, it started to sink behind it. So that's why the NRV's quiet right now. It's because this storm got so strong. It took out, what comes up has to come down. So it came down from wind, and then also we've got subsidence here. You've got bright cloud tops. If I take away the radar and just look at the cloud tops, let me get the right monitor. See these really high cloud tops here showing up on the water vapor. And then behind it, you've got warmer cloud tops. So the colder the cloud tops, the stronger the storms. And you can even see a drop in dew points. The reason why is not really the drier air hasn't really moved in. The reason why is the air is sinking. And when you sink air, it dries itself out. So we've got dew points 56, 58 into Galax and Carroll County, but the area is still under the gun here. And I'm going to leave this up because this pretty much lines up with the area I'm watching. I'm using satellite imagery for that, which is kind of cool. Bedford to Lynchburg into Amherst County and Nelson County. Still watching Botetourt County too. Looks like we've got some flash floodings just south of Richmond. You can see more activity blowing up there. Dew points around 70 in the Chase City here. So around from Blackstone, you need to, be watching out as well. And I think I hear, it must be wind, or it's one of my fans, but I hear something outside. Multiple trees down. This is just coming in south of Halifax County. And let's see, that is north of Roxborough. Spotter reported multiple trees down north of Roxborough near Bethel Hill Road, Highway 501 north. There are going to be a lot of trees down. And the concern is in the morning when you get up and you head out, you might be the first person to come upon some of those down trees and debris. So you want to be very careful, allow for extra time in the morning, even though the storms will have ended. You don't want to be out, hitting a tree when you're out traveling. I was coming home from a football game one time, and it was just a 20 to 30 mile an hour wind. It was a major storm system. It wasn't anything like individual storms. Anyway, I was out here toward Halifax County, and coming back out through this area, and I think it's one of the roads before you hit 360. And I was going slow because I knew I might come upon some downed trees. It had been raining, and sure enough, there was this huge tree blocking the whole road. So I called 911, pulled over, and I was able barely to get around that tree. But that can be scary if you're going full throttle. Let's look at the latest warning here. Again, this is issued as of 8/29 or updated as of 8/29. Severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect until 9:15 for Danville into Halifax County, city of Danville. Let's see, we've got 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts located with that. Danville, South Boston, places I've mentioned here: Halifax, Brookneal, Keysville. I've got another special weather statement I need to tell you about too. Charlotte Courthouse and Turbeville. Prepare immediately for damaging winds. That's pretty strong wording from the National Weather Service. Move to an interior room. I just talked about that on the TriCaster here with our severe thunderstorm warnings. Getting a tornado. It's a tornado. There we go. Get away from windows in that case. Okay, so the line was extending from Long Island to Mayfield. It's moving east at 55 miles per hour. So the good news is it's putting an end to the action in the NRV pretty fast. We've got some more activity around Kingsport. We may have to watch. It may try to blow back up on us. Notice we've got some cells here around Hickory and going into, let's see, that would be Marion as well. We're seeing some activity popping up there. I'm trying to see. Thunderstorm damage threat considerable, so your cell phones probably went off. 70-mile-per-hour winds. They should be going off at least, or have already gone off. That's a different way. Your cell phones have this alert feature, and it doesn't. It doesn't come from your cell phone provider. It comes from local community radio waves. And we don't forget our friends in the radio business, because the people that are doing radio, doing a service, what if the cell phone and internet all went down in a big system? What will we do? So people that operate ham radios are very vital in getting important information out for us. Okay, so we've got more rotation, and we've got a new special weather statement that the Weather Service is seeing what I was just talking about. All right, so let's look at the rotation over the past hour. We've got rotation in that flash flood warning as well, but from Dillon, again, Amherst to Dillon, just north of Lynchburg here is where the special weather statement is in effect. Now, the special weather statement is a precursor, possibly a precursor. It's where the Weather Service doesn't want to put a warning out, but they don't want to not say anything either. And I don't have that yet on my... And that may be my fault. Let me go to my place file manager here and see. I've got it on another one though. I'll show it to you. It'll eventually pop up. There's a lot of bandwidth involved. This is the new special weather statement because these storms were back building. You had this big storm now. Halifax and South Boston is getting hit very, very hard with these intense winds, again, that are away from the radar. One thing we also look at is what's called a lightning jump. Tends to indicate where rotation is kind of organizing, or at least updrafts are organizing and the storm is getting stronger. So it looks like a bit of a lightning jump between Elmo and Cluster Springs. Just looking at the base velocity, I can see a little bit of a kink here and some more rotation on the southern side of this. So we've got all kinds of areas of rotation. It's just a matter of the Weather Service having to determine, okay, is this enough to produce a tornado? And that is a job that I would not feel comfortable doing. It's one of the hardest things they do, and they don't get the credit they deserve for it. So thanks to the Weather Service for what they do. They're also allowing me to repost under my Twitter account. Lightning continues here, and we're seeing, let me go to the storm relative. It's trying to, right here on this bow, it's trying to, near South Boston, unfortunately, rotate some. Look at the values there showing up near South Boston. And that's a highly developed area too. So I think it's that blue area that's the actual rotation. And it's showing up right there near higher areas of KDP, which is an indication of a strong updraft and a lot of rain and possibly melted hail. Very strong updraft. Let's see, probably don't need to go too high on the radar. This is out so far. I'm just looking. That's about 10,000 feet there. That's over 10,000 feet. So yeah, these are still very, very strong. The possibility of severe hail exists within this storm, along with the rotation that we're seeing. So we'll continue to update you on that, because that lightning jump is somewhat concerning. There's a special weather statement there in the gray box. So it took it a little bit longer there from my friends at Allison House, but it's all good. Because what I do is I study it before it comes out. So you remember the radar's down here to the southwest of this. Radar's down this way. So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight the more areas of rotation again. And I'm going to do it in green because I think that'll stand out against all this red looking color. And I mean, you can probably see it too. This is wind coming toward the radar. This is wind blowing away from the radar. And you see another where you kind of see where it's concentrated a little bit. This is also wind blowing away from the radar. No, this is toward, I'm sorry. And this is away. That's very broad though. So this is, that's not as important right now as what I'm seeing. Now, Nelson County is controlled by the National Weather Service out of Sterling. So that's why you have this weird area here that they've highlighted out of Blacksburg. Sterling picks that up, and we may look at their radar too just to see what they're getting. But you can see this area right here is also showing some decent rotation, but rain-wrapped rotation there as well. Now that was a loft. I forgot I was up in the atmosphere. Let me go down to the surface, and it's even more pronounced. Look at that. Trying to see if they're considering anything. Again, it's broad, but we don't know for sure if it's tight or below because we're at 4,000 feet. There's no way to really see down below unless we've got people out there and spotters and people that are trying to help. But again, we want you to stay inside as well. So I know we contradict ourselves a lot. And we say when it's safe, please report that. Rotation also, just a lot of lightning here in a bookend vortex. So these are very high straight line winds, up to probably 70 miles per hour, maybe higher. Going down some trees, a lot of lightning that could down some trees as well and start fires near Cluster Springs. But you've got that bookend vortex here. So because of that, you got this backward C, and then you've got this area here going toward the radar now because you've initiated that spin. And you've got another area here that's doing the opposite. This is going out, and this is going in. But it's this northern part here that we need to watch for possible tornadic development, and that is right near South Boston. So I'm afraid I'm very concerned about South Boston right now. That's my whiteboard. I'm sorry. I keep hitting that. So we'll zoom back out so you can get an idea of what's going on. We've got several special weather statements now in effect. We've got a severe thunderstorm warning near in the Greensboro area. That's the one that had the rotation earlier. Now, Oak Ridge down through, let's see, we have some damage. Numerous trees reported Forsyth County. And I'm wondering if that was that could have been a tornado. Small one. And there's more rotation that's developing now over the same area, Jacksonville. So these storms are training now in North Carolina, and they're spinning. They'll do that when there's a lot of spin in the atmosphere. You'll get a lot of rotation in almost every storm. More power outages. We'll check out that in a second. Got a report of hail too. Let's see. That was earlier, I think. Yeah, that was 1 inch hail though. So I'm very concerned too about, let's see, Martinsville Ridgeway. You are still getting finally the rain is ending. That's good news. You had a special weather statement out. I'm going to read that special weather statement because there may be some stuff upstream as well. Winds near a horse pasture at the time this was issued. Now it's moved east. It's moving east at 50, winds in excess of 30 miles per hour. So again, it's borderline severe. Severe would be 58 miles an hour. So what the National Weather Service will do is if they see like wind borderline enough to catch your attention, enough to maybe cause some damage and some flooding and significant weather, but not technically a warning. They're very technical. They have to be. They'll put out that special weather statement. And they've done a good job at making those more publicly available than back in the old days when I was doing weather, and you had to listen to them on the weather radio, really. So what I'm going to do today, looking at poor down through Catawba County and Cherryville here, Lincolnton. That's a nasty looking storm. We've got more storms in North Carolina. Let's loop it just to see where it's going. It's still moving east, it looks like. When a storm starts spinning, you'll notice it'll deviate. Like right now, if they're moving east, if you start getting rotation, it'll start moving to the right of the mean wind because that spin causes it to take on that inflow of its own, and it pulls itself toward the inflow. So it deviates from it's called a right mover. And you'll see that sometimes. Seeing if we had anything up here that shows up in the right moving. Definitely see that swirl from the bookend vortex finally getting farther away and weakening here. This was a right mover. This was a good example here. So let me watch it loop again. Watch here. Instead of going east, it moved southeast near Stovall. So that had rotation with it a bit. You can see it there. It also had damage in the path, and now it continues further away from the radar to where we can't see it as well. Watch out Danville here. It looks like we've got another little notch developing here. Sandy level from Brosville. It's not very pronounced until you take out the storm motion, and you can see the greens and reds together here. So another reason we'll see these gray special weather statements is because in a situation like this, the Weather Service will say, we're watching that for rotation, but we're not going to put a tornado warning out just yet. And so special weather statement, you need to use that as a good precursor, basically. So it looks like Henry County now things are calming down, but they're ramping up near Danville once again. They are ramping up around Lynchburg and still in Botetourt County. We've got rain that refuses to leave. I don't see much in the way of rotation. There's definitely something here that's causing this this, I think that's the warm front that's causing the spin. These cells are also tending to merge, so that may be good news. You know, the thing that will concern me is if you see one take on a life of its own. And one thing that could happen is they could merge and then become one single strong storm as well, so I don't want to count that out. Got some weak rotation approaching Greensboro. You're probably going to have some damage. Don't know if it'll be like it was in Winston-Salem, but be prepared here. You got a lot of lightning, power outages, and whatnot. Rocky Mount's in the clear now. We've got some redevelopment here back toward Tazewell, but I'm not seeing anything too major going on here. A lot of flooding down in Knoxville. Just a plethora of... earlier we had a tornado warning out this way in the Tazewell, and that was another area. If you went to my Patreon page, for $1 a month, I don't post every day, but I'm going to start because I've got a situation going on with my main job, or maybe my former main job, but all my sponsors are still with me. All is good there. I won't say anything more about it. All right, so South Boston, the Cluster Springs, Virgilina. This is still a bow echo, very intense. I'm going to pull up a few more instances of this same program so we can look at other radars and maybe see from a different perspective. We can also look at airport radars, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to go to the Raleigh radar. And see, it almost has a better... The cutoff rate is right there, so it's picking up just as well as Blacksburg, and even, you know, if the radar is right here, so this is a much better representation. Now, let me get a storm motion here for you, so we can look at the rotation once again. Let's see. I'll use the storm in Greensboro, I guess. Marker there. We'll move it forward, and what I'm doing is I'm following the cell with time. Looks like a bit of a bow echo now in Greensboro. See that backward C shape right there. So yeah, you still have a severe thunderstorm warning for 60-mile-per-hour wind gust and 1-inch hail. What did it say? Let's see. Do we have a report? They're just saying the same thing I said. This is National Weather Service in Raleigh. Straight line winds can blow down trees, power lines, and damage mobile homes and other buildings. Seek shelter in a sturdy structure until the storm has passed. Stay away from windows, flying debris. Damaging winds can be deadly. This is moving east at 45 miles per hour. I'm showing about 42 knots on my program, so that's about right. So this is the actual velocity. And even without the with the storm movement, you can see the rotation here. See this larger area of wind coming toward the radar and lesser wind coming away. And the reason why you're seeing it all in green is because the whole storm is moving east. If we take out that eastward 55-mile-an-hour movement, you see it much better. You see it without any just what the storm is seeing, basically. We were taking out the motion and just looking at the storm. And Greensboro has pretty decent rotation right now, to believe it or not. It's starting to even tighten up a bit. So Greensboro, I would take shelter from Pleasant Garden to Greensboro itself, right there over Greensboro. Brightwood. This is a severe thunderstorm that's produced damage. It's been rotating for a while, and there may end up being a tornado warning or something here. So everything I'm looking at points to the possibility of that. So watching that, Watching the stuff around Danville, Halifax too. Let's look at Virgilina to South Hill from Raleigh. And we'll also look at base velocity to see if we have any rotation showing up. It's obvious. Have a lot of wind coming toward the radar here. Got a little bit there. Let me go to storm relative. Got a few notches here. Just got a new alert. We've got a special weather statement now for Halifax County. It'll pop up here in a second. What they may do is allow the severe thunderstorm warning to expire, and they replace it with a special weather statement because the storm kind of is continuing a little bit. That Greensboro one, I mean, it's not tightening up. Notice you've got a couple little areas here of rotation. Anywhere you see those little kinks, this is Townsville, North Carolina, just south of Clarksville. You've got some spin in here. And sometimes you get tornadoes and you don't realize it. So, because it's a lot of, terrain, and the tornadoes are very small. And sometimes people don't find them until later. Farmers will find them. We've got a little bit of broad rotation over South Hill. They're getting hit hard, I bet, by some rain at least, and probably some really strong winds. You've got a flash flood warning in effect now for South Hill and Chase City. Not Chase City, right there at Chase City. Clarksville to South Hill. Mecklenburg County until 12:15. 1 to 2 inches of rain and another 1 to 2 inches on the way. Turn around, don't drown. All right. A lot of rain. You see all that heavy rain there. It's not particularly showing up heavy on the radar, but we're getting a little bit of a curve to this stuff in North Carolina. Now, as we watch that stuff coming out of Halifax County, we'll continue to watch this area in there, Virgilina and South Hill too, see what's going on there. And again, there's 1, 2, 3 areas here. And broad rotation over Greensboro and Danville as well. Maybe not enough for a tornado. You look up, this is the Raleigh radar. We're looking at 12,000 feet up, and you can see right there near Powhatan and in Amherst, you can see storm relative. You can see little notches there showing up barely, which is impressive. There's that new special weather statement that just came out. So it kind of covers Cluster Springs and Virgilina. I'll read that for you. Movements to the east at 50, wind gust up to 50. So this is just right on the edge of being severe. I would still consider it severe in my case. They're talking about heavy rain and hydroplaning, which is a good point. The severe thunderstorm watch remains in effect for this area until 11 o'clock. Virgilina, John H. Kerr Reservoir, getting hit hard. They don't mention anything about rotation, which is, I find that a little weird. But that's okay. That's their decision. Sometimes they will do that, though, depending on who's at the radar. They'll say this storm may intensify or this storm has rotation, so we're watching it carefully. Just got something else down from our buddies in Lynchburg, WSCT. We've got some flooding and high water in Windhurst. Water's over a road, bottom of the hill. Unknown if it's runoff or just a swollen creek. So that's the Windhurst area of Lynchburg. You've got some flooding going on. Got a severe thunderstorm warning out for Halifax, a new one. Halifax and Charlotte counties. I have to wonder if they... I'm just seeing if they mention anything about possible rotation here. Just came out 909, Mecklenburg. Where's the one? I'm not sure where that's going to pop up. So while we're looking at that, let's go up toward the, I'm going to pull the Wakefield radar up, and I'm also going to pull the Sterling radar up. Because these places that are seeing those notches of rotation are in what we call the no man's land, unfortunately. You're in between all the radars. So there's the new severe thunderstorm warning, maybe. Well, that's confusing me. All right, so we're going to go to the Sterling radar, and it's looking from south of DC. They cover Nelson County right up to Amherst County. So you see where they didn't put their special weather statement out, but Blacksburg did, looking at those areas that of spin. So from their vantage point, you've got the radar up here, and you can see broad areas right here. Now what I need to do, there's also some broad rotation right there west of Richmond and Chesterfield where the flooding's going on. But still some broad rotation again. Amherst County going into Buckingham County. Don't see any hail or anything. But what I'm gonna, I've got to, every time I pull this up, I've got to setting this on the air. I think B99 is okay now. If you were broadcasting, we're in the clear. Star News, you still should be on for Danville and your North Carolina areas. Even though Reidsville's okay right now, just south of Reidsville, there's some pretty good storms there toward the Greensboro area. So just giving you a heads up there. All right. So just put storm motion in so you can see it pops out better when you look at it this way. We're still, again, we're in no man's land. So the Blacksburg radar is right at the edge here. The Sterling radar is right at the edge. The Raleigh radar barely saw it. The Wakefield radar may see it, but there's nothing right here that, you know, really is close that we can see down close to the area. So that's why that special weather statement is in effect. But I still see the rotation, definitely. The cells themselves, there's like one here, one, two, three, 4 cells that are showing up there off of this one. And now the Richmond Midlothian area is getting hit very hard with a bad storm. Large hail in this one and lots of lightning. Very large hail showing up. That's why you see that high reflectivity. So that's a hailer. It's going to have some strong wind in there as well. It looks like maybe some more hail forming north of Charles City if you're watching on TikTok. Trying to do more national weather here. The front made it all the way up past Charlottesville, which was further north than I thought. But I don't think it really mattered. We're still getting that that spin. So I'm going to now pull up another radar vantage point, and we will now look at Wakefield, where the peanuts are and the diner is. Drive right by it there. I think on 360 you drive right by it. In the middle of nowhere, and all of a sudden you see this dome right there at the Weather Service office. So they are seeing the storms, even the ones in North Carolina. It's not showing me. Okay, there we go. They're seeing them a little bit better, actually. These storms are, it's still seeing high, but between 8 and 10,000 feet is where that radar beam is. Richmond's at 4,200 feet from the radar. So now Halifax going into Boyden, Charlotte Courthouse even, you may use, you know, Wakefield more than, and even Raleigh more than Blacksburg. We need to do a storm motion again. So we're going to do that and place a marker here. Boink, boink, boink. And storm motion for marker. This program will figure out based on how many miles or how much distance that tracked over a certain amount of time, and it will figure out the motion. So it looks like about 45 miles per hour out of the east overall. So we put up the base velocity, and I don't see a lot here off their radar. You see the convergence maybe up here. But let's look at storm relative and see if we got anything. Very hard to tell. Got a lot of noise. But we're going to keep it up because I want to be able to watch this from all angles. Let me pull up some other things for you here. There's that big bow echo that went through. Right now it's approaching Clarksville and Route 15, also getting hit very hard. 604 down the Virgilina. This bow echo moving through Bethel Hill, Milton, Park Spring. I see that dry area that moved in behind the storms, and then you see the stuff around Greensboro that's moving east-southeast, and it's doing that because there's a lot of shear. It's causing it to do that instead of moving east. There's a little bit of a interesting movement here in Bedford County. So you always want to watch out here in this area as cells come off and come off the Blue Ridge area, literally from Blue Ridge 221, 460 down on 24 toward Flint Hill now at Bunker Hill and 122. Just south there, a few miles south of the memorial there. Looks like a bit of an inflow notch or some kind of curl there that's going on. So watching that as well. See it on the overview here. We've got the expired severe thunderstorm warning now, Halifax County, or the one that was in, Halifax, but we still have some stuff affecting Chase City and into Bedford. So I think Gretna is in the clear, but North Carolina areas, it's ramping up again down through Greensboro. And all that straight line wind damage is going to have to be, hopefully I'll get some pictures of that. Hopefully it wasn't too bad when it moved through Franklin County and Henry County. What is going on in Bedford though? Let's try to check that out. We're looking at Floyd County. Okay, so everything's relative to where the radar is at, and there is your green going toward the radar near Thaxton, and a little bit of red going away from Bedford. It doesn't appear to be intense rotation, but it is rotating, so we need to keep an eye on that. Because again, the environment is there, and I want to show you that environment. Show you what we look at and how we determine that a storm's going to do what it's going to do. So we're going to pull up the SPC sector here, and these are tools that they use. Zoom in a little bit toward Virginia. Okay, so let's look at just wind shear. Well, let's just look at the actual winds. So this is the surface wind. And again, you see the convergence there. You've got northeast winds, southwest winds meeting up right there near Lynchburg. That's why we've got some rotation there. That's where the front is, basically. The low is, looks like the low is about right here. And we've got a little bit of a trough that extends south. So surface winds are all over the place, but in North Carolina, they're primarily out of the south, and they're all over the place in Virginia right now because we're actually getting that rain. But if you go up just a little bit more in the atmosphere, Let's see if I can make this easier to see. This is at about 5,000 feet. You see the winds are out of the southwest. 4 hours ago, they were just moving in, and there's a wind speed max here, 30 knots, that's helping to bring those storms down. So there's a front also at about 5,000 feet that's moving through. All right. Violent tornado parameter. You see that it's taken into account that we've got some rain cooled air in blue, but we've got still a little bit of a violent tornado parameter at least showing up. The winds crossing, you see right there, the low level winds are in red, the higher level winds are in blue. And you see that angle, the more difference in right there in Halifax County, the more shear we have. We've got about 35 knots of shear, 30 knots there, and that's just in that part of the atmosphere. The low level shear just in 1 kilometer is still very high. You see those boulder values there at around 30. Significant tornado parameters going down. Low level lapse rates are going down. That's good. We've got a lot of purple here. This is the jet stream. That's at about 29,000 feet. That's helping to lift the air and keep the storms going anyway. The potential for downdrafts, high in North Carolina. That's that straight line wind stuff we were talking about. Let's look at the large hail parameter. You see more towards south side. That explains why we were seeing most of the hail there. Helicity is kind of a measure of wind turning, and again, it's decent over our area, but we had that one big bow echo come around. But again, you see that bullseye there, just north of my face there, going through south side. Not a lot of instability left, but if you look at the mixed layer, there's a little bit anyway. Then the air is still mixed. It will unmix a little bit later on tonight. This is at about 10,000 feet, and this is where we look for moisture in terms of rain. You can see the wave aloft, the dip in the jet stream now nearing the area. That's what gave us the surface low. But you see all these westerly winds, and then you look below and you see all those surface winds. We've got so many of them. Let's look at this. This will show you the surface winds. So you see them kind of converging right here out of the south, and also they're out of the south and converging right there near 460 and north. So there's two areas of convergence. There's almost two lows, but to the west is where things are good. So in this area, there's still a lot of moisture, still a lot of convergence, and you can actually look at convergence, and there it is. You see it showing up there in the red, a lot of it. Maybe a little bit behind. It's showing it back through Franklin County, but I think it looks like the surface winds, and the areas that are in red are where the air is coming together. Okay, it's complicated. The areas that are in the colored areas there, from green to brown and red, that's where there's spin at the surface. And again, I think that's a little old. Let's go 2 hours ahead, and you can kind of see that it's closer to Lynchburg, and then it goes closer into Farmville. So I think this particular, and that bow echo put us 2 hours ahead, basically, which was good news for a lot of folks, but not good news for folks, still to the east. We've got Danville now, I think's okay. Got a new severe thunderstorm warning there just east of High Point. Nothing showing up Lynchburg, but just rain and a little bit of spin. So this is wind shear, just the effective wind shear of the whole atmosphere, and it's still up you know, we used to only see 30 to 40 knots of shear. When you get 50 and 55 and 60, which one? If it's still connected. There we go. So the area in the blue, the Storm Prediction Center has said this is the area we still need to watch. But within that area, you know, you can kind of shave off the western part, I think. So let me show you the area that still needs to be watched for tornadoes and high wind and hail, and we've got the whole gamut really with this system today. So right through here. You still need to be on guard. We are good here in Franklin County. We're good down through Henry County, except for the lingering damage. But this area is going to expand eastward throughout the night. The sun going down may help some of that, but there's some flooding being reported on MPing, which is the unofficial way of reporting stuff. Buckingham, I still see an enhanced cell near Dillwyn, Cumberland, and an enhanced cell there near Lynchburg. Let me show you this. Talk about the storm total rainfall. Who saw the most rain? Look at this. It's hard to see the counties, but this is Oak Level through Collinsville. That's a legacy product. Let me see if I can get more of a better view there. There we go. Look at how much Danville got according to the radar. Rain-wise, let's see. We'll go to our inspector. That's 1 point, almost 2 inches in a very short amount of time. And just around an inch there. And those aren't perfect estimates, but there's also a lot of rain up toward Amherst. It looks like you're nearing in on 1.48 inches. So definitely some high water out there too. Here's where our hail potential is the greatest. Clarksville down. This could be also all. Well, that's a report of hail there, pea-sized. And you see some MPing reports of hail around Richmond too. And near Tuckahoe right now, Midlothian, they're getting hit pretty hard by that by the storms. You see elevated areas of what we call vertically integrated liquid. That used to be our go-to for hail, but we actually have a way of also looking at correlation coefficient, and it's dropped there. So it looks like there is some hail possibly up around Buckingham there by that beam hitting it and dropping it. And it curves the beam, and you get a lower value of correlation coefficient. You also would get, let's see if it's melting hail. Well, this is high in the atmosphere at this point. But around, you can see it's melting here around Buckingham on the radar beam. As the radar beam goes farther out, it doesn't show anything. That's where the hail is falling as just hail and no rain. But that's aloft because of the fact that the radar is so far away in Floyd County. You know what I mean? Differential reflectivity should be close to 0 there. It's so far away it's hard to tell anyway, but it is low. Now look at these high levels of differential reflectivity. These could be birds and grasshoppers and dragonflies and wildlife. They show up as these, they've got the wings and everything, and they're coming in behind the storm. So we're picking up some. You can pick up non-meteorological things as well. Looking at storm relative rotation just to make sure. I see right now around Statesville some rotation. Clemens here near Bermuda Run, there's a cell with rotation and a lot of lightning with it. There's some spin here. And near Alamax, North Carolina, you got a severe thunderstorm warning there. Boynton to Clarksville, South Boston's got flooding now. I think the rain just moved through there. Let's see. And I'm just seeing some high wind now on the storm relative rotation. The actual velocity is also more of a convergence, but around Bedford there's still some broad rotation, so it's still, we got to watch it. And then we got these little notches still around Yanceyville, these little areas that kind of pop out, like this area here. The one in Clemens has a lot of lightning with it. That's a sign of a intensifying storm, and that's where the air is still very unstable compared to our air. So North Carolina folks, along I-40 basically, and the Winston-Salem and into the foothills, you're seeing severe storms with rotation, possible, tornadoes. But look at all this wind damage. These are this is why I like Radar Scope, because these are not official Weather Service reports. These are community reports. You can have it. You can do it from your phone and submit it. And at 8:54, just a normal everyday person reported wind damage, 1-inch tree limbs broken and shingles. We've got then a roof was blown area, and again this was in Yadkin County in the Surrey County. I was watching that. So these storms too I'm watching. Look at they still are coming in. Wow. More wind damage. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right on that track. Right on that track of where that storm moved through. Got a lot of change in the wind here too. When you see high levels of this, it means, again, this is within the radar beam. How much is the wind varying? Is it blowing at a constant level, or is it changing direction a lot, changing speed a lot? That's what'll get these levels up here out of the gray. Usually when you have stable air move in, you'll see the real cool air show up as light gray. But the stormy activity shows up here as, especially where the rotation and the updrafts are. You'll get some enhancement there showing up. This one near Clemens here looks really, really bad here, and that's going just south of Winston-Salem. So you just were hitting Winston-Salem. You're going to see possibly another one. You can see a little bit of a hook here, backwards hook. You can also see a notch here north of Statesville in Iredell County. I think these should have tornado warnings with them because we've got so many damage reports coming in from earlier with similar rotation. So I'm going ahead and call it. You need to take shelter north of Statesville into Harmony. You definitely need to take shelter just south of Winston-Salem with this storm that appears to be rotating just to the northeast of Lexington. There's no warning out for this right now, believe it or not. There may be very soon, though. I bet there will be very soon. Greensboro flooding and a lot of rainfall being reported. And still seeing some notches now as we go into more eastern Virginia, Mecklenburg County and east now. You see those comma shapes. Those are storms that are trying to rotate as well. Got some redevelopment of showers anyway, and again, that's because the jet stream's still overhead. We haven't got the front through here yet. So if we wouldn't have had that big storm in Franklin County, we would have been seeing more activity. But that Franklin County storm is now all the way down here. So it blew through at about 70 miles an hour. Just got a new alert. And I think that's for an area. Well, let me go on my chat here and go to all chats. And look at the other areas. It may take a second. Why there's not a severe thunderstorm warning out for Welcome in Lexington, I don't know. There really should be. And maybe even a tornado warning. If I split the screen up here and we look at the velocity, I mean, come on. And you also see where the lightning is jumping there. Now, typically they'd want to see that red and that green right next to each other. But you see they're a little bit separated. And there's also, this is close to each other here near Bermuda Run. And again, that's coming into Clemens. And near Winston-Salem. Let me get rid of something here, up here on this monitor. Sorry about this. Yeah, Forsyth County. I was trying to remember my counties. Forsyth County, Davidson County, Alamance County, Randolph County, especially Davidson County, northern Davidson County. Davie County, you need to watch out. Also, let's see, Lincoln County is getting hit hard. Let me show you this while I'm doing it. So I'm slowly getting things figured out. Alright, so I'm on my WeatherTap account and I've zoomed into North Carolina. Hey, there's a severe thunderstorm warning issued for, well, that cell here. That's probably issued by, what's that? Yeah, Greenville-Spartanburg issues that. I don't know what Raleigh's doing. Maybe it's because the storm's so far away. But Highway 52, Davie County, Forsyth County, this right here is a notch of rotation. There's another notch here of wind and rotation on 40 near 64 in the Davie County, and northern Rowan County as well. Watch out if you're in those areas. Coming back home now, Pennsylvania County has had some damage. Tree on the house on Wather Lane. We've had, let's see, law enforcement, Franklin County Sheriff Department reported numerous trees down across the county, as well as many power outages. Many of the reports received after 7:30 p.m. and continue to come in at a constant rate. That's no surprise. Thunderstorms blew a tree down, so that was near Hickory Hill Drive. So Rocky Mount took it on the chin, it looks like, unfortunately. And there's a lot of power outages, I'm sure. You can see that damage there continues. Multiple trees down in Ringgold, tree on the house in Pennsylvania County, and now we're going into Henderson County. I've got Dot the Weather Cat here with me, who's getting tired of waiting on her dad. I almost want to turn the scanner on in Franklin County so you can hear what's going on for you Franklin County folks, because now we're moving into a situation. Lynchburg's getting hit with some heavy rain where we're looking at damage. There's Dot. She's my kid. She's my best friend, and I'm a cat guy. She's a weather cat. She's got a personality. She's very sassy, and but very fun. So if you a lot of people follow her and her pictures. She likes to come up here. I've got the switcher on, so she may not. What you doing, guys? I know, it's almost over. A lot of people got hit hard though. Let's look at power outages. Dot. Okay. I know. So we're gonna look at power outages. She gets really feisty around this time of the evening. She wants me, and the thing is, she may want to go outside. A lot of times she's everything's in my room. She wants me to take her to bed, like carry her to bed like I would a person. I mean, I'll go ahead and take care of this cat before she goes crazy. I'm going to pull up a power outage map real quick. That's a pretty cat's Dot. I'm going to do it by county. So look at the power outages here. We've got 2,415 power outages in Franklin County. We've also got a lot, 2,126, just over 2,100 in Henry County. We got a few coming in, 44 in Pennsylvania County. Patrick County's got 540. You see back across Southwest Virginia, they've got a lot of power outages as well. I want to look a little bit closer, and we can do that by location. So we go back in here toward the Rocky Mount area. We see a big power outage also in Roanoke near Windy Gap, but that's affected Burton Chimney as well. The restoration time there is about 6 o'clock. That's Bondbrook area to Burnt Chimney to where it's almost at my house. I got lucky. And showing it going into Roanoke City as well. There's some small power outages near Antioch and Western Franklin County. Faith Baptist Church there near Algoma. And then if you go into the really hard hit areas, it's just around the Rocky Mount area, it looks like. Glade Hill's got like 5 out here and there, probably from trees down. There are power outages right on 220 because of the trees that came down there, I'm sure. 11 o'clock is the restoration, and that covers a large part of as you move out of Rocky Mount itself and go past Scuffling Hill there, just past my dad's store, and continue going toward 640 and 40. Just in that area, if you take 762 Goose Camp and down toward Oak Level, and maybe even the radio station and the TV station down here, 220, there's power outages. Looks like there's a cluster too around, let's see, the Prilliman area, just to the south of Ferrum, and near Ferrystone as well. You can see lots of power outages. This is the big one. That might be a substation that's out. That wouldn't be good. It takes a while for them to get those fixed. I'm surprised that Rocky Mount itself isn't showing up. They do have like a main line that serves the hospital, but just to the, let's see, as soon as you get on 122 and go in the Burnt Chimney, what's weird is I think it's showing me without power, but I have power. Let's see. Yeah, it's showing the edge here, but we've got power. We're right on the edge. It's not a perfect, sure it's not a perfect program, but it is kind of neat to see the individual areas there. That's where the bow echo went through. And, poweroutage.us will also kind of show you overall state by state what's going on. You can see Virginia, and you can see kind of the path it took there. And this includes all of the areas. Before Dot has a conniption, let me put this in motion real quick, and I'm going to take care of her. So a lot of wind reports coming in. Very active day. And that stuff around Roanoke's trying to redevelop, but it's probably not going to do anything. Okay, what you want? You want to say hi? No. Thought the weather cat was busy all day, and she hasn't had any attention at all. Poor thing. She also got sick. She tends to eat bugs. She finally got sick from one today. I know. I mean, want to put her outside. Want to go outside? So guys, I just looked outside and I normally see lights in Grassy Hill because I'm right off of Engle Plantation and I'm looking west toward Rocky Mount. It is so dark from all the power being out. So let's do this. We can hear dispatch if we have any reports coming in. Let's see. May have to scan. I've got one other one that's that picks up the people that VDOT folks and contractors that go out and see the stuff programmed in this one. Always got to lock out a few of them depending on where my location's at. Halifax got hit hard. New warning here. They never warned on these cells. This one did, but I mean these right here, your Thomasville, you need to take cover. What in the world? I mean, I see it. Yeah, it's kind of broad rotation, but it's got a lot of lightning and wind with it. You at least put out a severe thunderstorm warning, I would think. So everything's showing up as rotating and well developed storm wise. But these cells that aren't warned, to me, are the most dangerous ones right now. Your Moxville and your Thomasville. That one south of Winston-Salem that I was talking about. There's your spin. And that could be a rain-wrapped tornado in there. Got
En route, Delta. 10-4, Alpha 3.
Okay, somebody's en route to something. I couldn't get the exact location. Scanners are a good way to find out damage reports and stuff. I can't imagine what 220 looks like right now. If anybody's got any pictures, send them to Jamey at jameysingleton.com and we'll get them out for you. The thing is, there's so many apps, and you know, I get some on Instagram, I get some on Twitter, I get a lot on Facebook, different pages though. As you can see, the track of the rotation that I was worried about here north of Lynchburg never got warned, and it's still raining there. But again, it's not really showing up as a really tight and really intense. Now, what you notice here, you don't notice like a trail. This is a, and the storm did not hop. What happened is the radar can only scan so many times, and in between the scans, you've got about a 4 or 5 minute wait. So, in between the scans, you had these rings that kind of show up. So each scan picked up the rotation along that Boeing segment there, and you can see it continues down toward Henderson there. And what's crazy is, okay, these are the storms I'm worried about in Mocksville. You see the rotation there, and then you see more of a straight line wind with that same signature here in western North Carolina. Even around Bedford still, we've got some very little rotation, and we still have a little bit around Danville too, even though Danville doesn't have well, this is over the past hour. I'm sorry, this is not current. Let's look at current. Okay, so yeah, I mean, borderline, I guess. It was a little more impressive earlier. Still a very impressive bow echo south of South Hill. Bracy down to Norlina, Warrington. What's the street here? Is that the interstate? No. Where's Emporia? This is the interstate. So this is supposed to show me the road. I could use another program, but it's the principle of it. It's supposed to show me the road. Warrington down in this area is getting a lot of severe weather right now. And it's really the same kind of line that moved through our area. So let's look at the rotation over the past hour, and I'm going to put it in motion. And we'll see how everything tracked today continues to track now. We're still eyeing damage reports as well. What I want to do too, stand by. Here's my mouse. There it is. The computer back here is also routed, I think, into let me pull this up for you. This is what I'm working on. This will be on the ATEM switcher. I've got switchers going into switchers, which is crazy. Alright, so this is my computer behind me. It had a high resolution satellite on it. You can see that new area of flooding in the green. It's worried about flooding. The satellite is kind of disappearing, so I'm going to get rid of that. And the red is instability that still exists. So we'll get rid of it and we'll try to look at some stuff here. The main thing I want to show you is the 3D presets I have on this computer. I need to transfer them to the other computer. You can see the CAPE. These are values of basically how much heat's in the atmosphere. You can see as those storms move through, look at the CAPE there disappear around Radford there. It took out the CAPE. And what's cool is Paul, the guy that writes this program, he puts the tag in there. So if there's at the bottom of the Weather Service's text, they don't really. It's not really easy to see that, but these tags make it easier for me to show. You can see it, the hail size, and it's really a pretty cool program. I've got I've got 3 versions of it, 2 lifetime. Considerable flash flooding being issued here, and that's south of Virgilina, so that's issued by Raleigh. Anything considerable, this is current, is a big deal. So what we'll do is we'll take off Cape. Let's put on, you see that this is the area in green that the the Weather Prediction Center says, all right, we need to watch out for flooding in that area. They're noticing that. The severe thunderstorm watch is getting trimmed away as the storms move east. It still continues in these areas. And I'm going to go ahead and, for the sake of what we're doing here, we're going to remove that from our map here. This is the center of the low. You can see the contours there and the winds blowing in. So the low's around Roanoke right now. And I told people on Patreon it would be right around Roanoke. So we do have special weather statements finally for these storms around High Point, Welcome, and Thomas. 40-mile-per-hour winds listed. There's your storm motion east at 38 miles per hour. Randleman, again, this is in the North Carolina area near High Point. There's a track for you. It's going to affect those areas. And then we've got this other storm here. I'm not even going to try that name. But there's your track there. Chapel Hill, Carbarrel. Just south of Durham. Those things are really moving east fast. All right. The considerable part of the flash flood warning, yeah, because it's still raining so hard there. I'll put on the radar, you'll see. So here's the radar. See how it's still like so heavy. We're getting a lot of just heavy rain. The front edge is more like severe storms, but then behind the storms, that jet stream and this low pressure system that's still moving in, and the leftover cape that we've got. See, I'll pop it back up. Notice all that red there, and it goes up into the orange values. That's higher levels of instability in cape. So you get cape and instability, and you get a certain amount of moisture in the air and a certain amount of wind and a jet stream supporting you. You have a what's called a flooding threat, basically. So sometimes that gets overshadowed by the severe weather threat. You've got folks at the SPC looking at all kinds of things, mainly the storms, but you've got folks at the Weather Prediction Center that are also watching the flood threats and everything. And it's cool because in snowstorms they'll also put out these updates. What I can do is there's something called MRMS data. So we're going to look at the 1 hour, we're going to look at the precipitation rate. And that, to me, is more important than the actual radar. It's the rate at which the rain falls. Some areas only got 1 or 2 inches, but they're experiencing that flooding. Well, that's because of the rate. And the Weather Service has a lot of programs to figure out how dry the ground is and what it can take to flood. I didn't look at it today because we've been fairly dry recently, but it's the rates that are what's going on here. Let me get this smoothed. This is one thing that I do want smoothed. The other stuff, when I'm looking for tornadoes, I don't smooth it. Smoothing, there we go. Okay. So these are current rainfall rates. And this is going to blow your mind probably. Maybe. maybe overdoing it. Warrenton, we're getting rainfall. Yep, 4.5 inches an hour, and this is in North Carolina. 3.7 inches an hour down here in this area north of near Roanoke Rapids, Littleton. I have to admit I've never been to that area that much. We've also got some really, some potential flooding going on here with these storms moving through as they continue to develop. You've got some ponding of water, definitely with 3-inch rainfall rates down into Hillsborough. Let's move into our area. Lynchburg is getting rainfall rates, still raining there, about half an inch to an inch an hour, where they had some flooding earlier, and it's still kind of raining and exasperating that situation. Flash flood warning. It's up around Dillon where we had the rotation. Again, I was focusing so much on the rotation. There's also that flash flooding threat. And it's pretty neat that this system exists. It's one of the ways we can tell if places are going to flood or not. There may actually be some kind of a flash flood or a flood advisory anyway for some of these areas. Down here around Emporia, yikes. Now I can also show you the amount over the past 3 hours. Let's do 12 hours. Let that load. We'll also give you an idea of who had the most storms. See how they tracked? West to east, but kind of in a southeast motion, and they turned right because of their rotation. And you can see the really heavy rain that developed on that southern flank there around Martinsville. There may be some flooding going on in Henry County. 3.2 inches is what I'm showing. 3.3. And sometimes the radar underestimates that. So that lines up with the considerable flash flood warning that's up just over the border. So I bet there's some high water around Danville, and as you go into Henry County there in the S curves. Looks like a lot of the heavier rain was just to the east of 220 though, but yeah, no doubt. And they've got trees down too. Tree down on Old Fairham, they're clear from that. They're getting a lot of the EMS folks, they take care of those trees fast.
Did VDOT arrive on scene? They did. They removed it from the roadway.
VDOT removed it from the roadway. That's one of the trees there on Fairham Road. 3.3 inches. These folks come in after the storms and they work their butts off. They're really kind of heroes so that you can get up in the morning and not have to worry about running into a tree. Okay, so there's that, right? Let's see. Now, because I haven't imported this over, what I'm going to do is load my radar up here. And we're going to try it this way. I'm going to show you a three-dimensional look at some of these storms using these color palettes that I downloaded. I didn't come up with them. Somebody else figured them out. I can show you on this computer, but it's not as clear. You'll see what I mean. So with the storms near Raleigh, I'm going to go to the Raleigh radar since they're close to the radar. And I've got a feature here. Once this loads. Okay. Let's look at we'll look at Chapel Hill first. We'll look at this Chapel Hill storm. We're not going to look at a cross section. We're going to look at an actual 3D rendering, and it's not made up. It's actually coming off of the radar data. It's pretty amazing. And as far as I know, I'm the only one that uses this in this area. The Weather Service uses it. They're the ones that told me about it. Alright, let's see if I can get box drawn here. And I bet the 3D popped up behind the program here. So bear with me. I promise you it's worth it if you really want to learn about storms and stuff. Okay, I'm going to minimize this. Where are you at? Those are rotational tracks off the other computer. You go back a longer way. Kind of gives you an idea. The other screen on the other computer. See how they came in early in the day? We had some severe storms here. We had a lot of rotation, and the one tornado warning was actually in Allegheny County. That was the only tornado warning we've had. West Virginia, of all places. We've had several, straight line wind and possible tornadoes. Okay, where did it go? Let's try. Let's see if I got a window open. Thank you. Okay. You know what I'll probably need to do is get rid of some of the ones I don't need anymore. I've learned if I have the same radar site up on the same network, the bandwidth, it'll just block it out. It's taking all that, so much data to do that 3D model. All right, let's go here.
Engine 14, you have traffic.
Yeah, it didn't draw it, so let's see if it will.
Engine 14, open mic.
Engine 14 has their mic open. They don't realize it. It's the worst. There's that dispatch is telling them about it. Here we go. So I'm going to maximize this. So this is in North Carolina. It's looking north, right? Now, I've got it lit where you can see the updrafts of the storms. As I turn it around, you can see the shape of the storms. You can see the tops there. You can see where the you can see the wind shear causing the updraft to kind of bend with height. You can see here a little bit more of a that red there's kind of got a notch to it. The cool thing is there's like 50 presets. So these are presets that people have. I'm going to show you different ones. This shows a little bit more of the shell of the storm. And again, we can go inside and we can, sometimes you can actually see the tornado and the mesocyclone itself. And I can actually pull up old data and look at it too and study it. We'll go and look at another version that's more of a solid shell. Let's see. This might be one I made. Yeah, I don't like that one. Again, this one's highlighting the red, kind of has the clouds showing up there in the lighter green. This just shows the red areas, and I got a new scan so I can hit reload. You can put this in motion too, by the way, and it's a really powerful program. Heavy rain. I forget which ones are the best, so just bear with me. I'm trying to find a storm that would look the best on these. There's a volume shell. That's a pretty good one. And you know, something else you can do. This program is nuts. I think you can buy it for, I think it's $300. 200, I forget what the price is. But once you buy it, you got it for life. And it's GR2 Analyst is the name of it. So we did get a new scan in. You see an update there. And a lot of it is where you can see the edges if you draw the box right. You know what I mean? Like if you have the... It's still a very strong storm nearing the Durham area and Henderson too. The storm near Roanoke Rapids is the biggest. But what I was going to show you, if I can find my mouse, when I put the splitters to get this to my switcher here, my computer reversed everything, and I fixed it, and then it reversed it again. I can change the light. I can make it more diffuse. I can make it more ambient. Usually something in between works pretty good. We're in world space. We can also use eye space, but I can change the azimuth and the tilt of the light source. Kind of gives it a different look, depending on what you're wanting to look at. And it's a great way to see hail. A lot of times hail will be suspended aloft. You can look at rotation on this as well. It would pop up here. Went ahead and clicked it. You can look at base velocity throughout the storm. And you can do isosurface as well, where you just look at certain parts. But the reflectivity is the main part. So I want to find a supercell if I can, or at least the strongest storm that's out there now. So let's show you. Look at all that lightning. I wouldn't want to be flying out of the airport in Raleigh right now. Come on, let me switch here. I need to have it this way. There we go. Space velocity. Let's go back to just reflectivity and just look at most severe storms. Let me take the lightning and make it smaller. We'll make it a glow. And the neat thing is I can go 3D and you'll see the lightning as lines showing up aloft, which is kind of a neat way to visualize it. So this is the last, let's load the last 6 hours. Well, no, we're looking at a live radar, so it's only going to go back an hour. My bad. I'll do it in a minute here, if y'all don't mind. This has become its own kind of system.
Be advised if you're still on scene. Route 40.
Route 40, there's a crew still on scene for more than likely wind damage. We can go to the airport radar. They don't do as well, but you see they've got a little bit more detail, and this is used a lot by the National Weather Service if they can. You can see it doesn't go out very far. It's really just made for just around the airport. Route 40 near Glade Hill Minute Market, there were apparently trees down there. And this is just Franklin County that I'm listening to. Gate to gate shear is something that's neat. You can see the red popping up. That's where we had the rotation. So I'm going to turn off the NexRad and turn off the sights and pull up the radar. Let me see if I can update. Okay, it is up to date. So I'm going to sling that down. I can get rid of my cities from being so close together now. It's hard to get them back to where I had them. That's about right. Let's see if I zoom in. All right.
Do you have any information in reference to the Route 40 call? RMH 2229.
Trying to see what to add here. I'm going to add the watch. I just want you to see, this gives you an idea. If you look at something through time, that's why I like time lapses. You really get an idea of what went on with the storm. Debating on whether or not to put up temperatures and stuff. I'll put up wind gust if there were any. No, it's still a little distracting. There are some pretty impressive wind gusts though. Alright, so let's look at the last 6 hours in 3D here and just... Oh my goodness, why is it going so fast? I'm so sorry. Let me fix that. There's so many things. Program settings. Go to. I had a lot of tornado warnings in Kentucky earlier today too. I was just getting everything ready, and I tried last night to do it. Really got frustrated with myself. I get so, I don't know, like I try to do too much, and then I end up missing stuff. But I'm going to leave a lot of this stuff. Okay, general timeline. Is that what we're looking at? Frame time needs to go way up, I think. So let's go. Okay, that's a little too much. Be a little faster. Oh, I need to go down. Sorry about that. I need to go down for faster. That's right. Okay, we'll use 200. You can follow the storms. You can follow the low, the contours, the winds, and you can see how they started. You can see the warnings and the wind damage showing up there. We'll get rid of the satellite for a second too. It's the radar. Let's get rid of the satellite. You can see the storm, Storm Prediction Center's watch that they put up for severe weather. And I'm going to stop this and move it manually just to do a recap for you here. So this was earlier today. We had severe storms around Wytheville and Martinsville. Several of them were coming out, and that was while I was getting ready. Down here across Kentucky was the low. You can see the center. You barely see it, but see the contours there? That was the low. I'm going to make the winds bigger too for you. These are surface winds. You can kind of get an idea of how the wind was going around the low. So this was about 6 hours ago. That would have been about 4 o'clock. And there were storms even before that. But you saw that activity that was coming out of Kentucky and out of the east. Again, normally we have it coming out of the south. So and then we got a tornado warning in near Lexington. That was earlier. And then started to get some damage reports coming in out of Henry County. And then for a moment we had I've got that blinking because it's either reported, it was an observed tornado earlier, and that's what it'll look like if it's ever one here. Now it was about just under 6 hours ago. So you see those cells continue to develop in the unstable air. The National Weather Service had the watch out, put it out, and they also had the enhanced risk for the area. Now, by the time they crossed Virginia in the mountains, I keep mentioning on my Patreon, but I mentioned this area, and you know, sometimes it's worth it to see that. I was up all night working on it. I got up late, but anyway, we had another tornado warning issued earlier around Big Stone Gap, Gate City, far southwest Virginia, places you wouldn't really think, right? And then we had storms popping up in the NRV and more in South Side, so they were popping up all over the place as we thought. And as we go further out up in time, we had another tornado warning up in Phelps and just north of Grundy. I specifically mentioned Grundy on Patreon as well. Lots of tree damage here with some of these severe storms earlier. So at that point we had 2 tornado warnings out, and it was heading our way. You can see a new tornado warning for that one in West Virginia. Abington started to get a severe thunderstorm warning. They crossed into the NRV, and we started to get special weather statements and severe storm warnings as well. We also had this huge area break out across Southside on its own, and then another area around Wytheville was the main area. This was now about 3 hours ago. And then this was by the time I got on the air, it was about right here. We had a tornado warning in the weirdest place in some of the mountains. And that proves that you can get rotation in tornadoes. I don't know if I ever got one, but this is earlier. This is not live. We're just going back in time here. But notice the large warning here at that squall line that moved through Franklin County and knocked out the power and did all the damage in Rocky Mountain surrounding areas. That expired, and then we were just dealing with straight line stuff with embedded rotation, but no actual tornado warnings. And the Weather Service may have, held back and done a great job. It's a hard decision to make. So notice these, as the storms moved east, we were on the air with you here. I'm starting to get the reports out of Franklin County, and they shaved away the severe thunderstorm watch. They continue to shave it away now. This is a live look now at what's going on. So the center of the low, this is a place file that needs to be updated. Standing water in Richmond. Standing water on portions of... let's go into Richmond and see a lot of flooding going on there. Let's see. Standing water on north and southbound lanes of I-95 through downtown Richmond. 1-inch hail. There's 3 reports from I-95. One a little bit closer. Department of Highways. Multiple roadways flooded in Manchester, suburb of Richmond. So downtown was flooded at I-95 in several places. And now there's flash flood warnings out, getting a little bit closer into northeast of Hopewell, near West Point, nearing the Williamsburg area. Now you will notice my system here showing a tornado vortex signature. It's on its own algorithm. It's getting from the radar, which is pretty neat. It's at 77 knots, and we need to look at that one. That might be the one we need to look at in 3D. That's with this Roanoke Rapid storm. Let me see if I can put you. It's not letting me put tracks up. Interesting. Okay, I need to. So since we've got that showing up, Charlotte's getting hit pretty hard down through Greenville, Spartanburg as well. Roanoke Rapids area. It looks like a bow echo to me, and I think the radar may be just picking up the spin that's created from that. So let's go back to our 3D radar rendering machine here. And I did not want to do that yet. I just want to. So when I look at the radar, and this is out of Raleigh, I might have to, let's see, it may be closer. I don't know. It could use the, could almost use the Wakefield radar. Let's see, which is right near Emporia, right to the south of Emporia. Some pretty wild. I think we need to de-alias that. There we go. Sometimes you get that. And there's some spin showing up.
2246.
It's more of a straight line thing, like I mentioned. You see, it's in a curved area like that. That's down near Jackson, North Carolina, Roanoke Rapids. Same bow echo. I think it's the same one that hit us, to be honest. Like I was saying, I put it in motion for you a second ago. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to get this in 3D the best we can. Really hard to do because it's behind me and this mouse is so far away from the computer. One second.
Copy, click.
Yeah, I want that. Hold on one second. Okay. Sorry about that. So I'm going to look at this for you. Classic over, you know, you can see the clouds here. You can see the. I'm going to unlock my ATEM here real quick. I can move the source, make it a little bit bigger. All right, I'm gonna go back to this mouse. So we're looking deep inside the storm here. You can see the that's Roanoke Rapids there. And you can see that front edge there. You can see the overshooting top. We've got tops of about 40,000 feet. And there's the anvil that gets blown by the jet stream well in advance of it. So if there's any rotation, it would be right on this edge here. Let's look at some other color palettes and see if we can see something. So let's see. You know what happened? I was bragging about this and getting paid back for bragging. Close that. Okay, we're gonna get a new slice. This is a neat storm to investigate. This shows more of that bow echo. All right, so I'm gonna pull up some different color palettes here. think this is supposed to be used with velocity. And I think it's got the... Oh, what happened? So it's got the highest wind only showing up there. Looking for hail cores that would show up in red. And looking for new scans too. You'll get a new scan sometimes when you're in this mode. So there's Emporia. At some point I will get a new scan and I'll update it for you. I'm just trying different ones here that I was able to download. This is more showing everything. This really shows the cloud overhang that you get with a severe storm. A little bit of more invisible so you can see inside it, see the overhang. That's the inflow that's coming into the storm. And then this is the downdraft part that's slamming down into it. This shows you the shape, but it also shows the inside of the storm. That's pretty cool. So you can see that again. We call it a bounded weak echo region sometimes. It's an anvil, but sometimes you'll see a area where there's stuff aloft. It's not really a classic bounded weak echo region, but it's definitely got some updraft that's holding stuff up with it. And again, this is Roanoke Rapids down to north of Rocky Mountain, North Carolina. And I'm just doing this for my own investigation, but in case folks, I just want to see inside these storms. I worked hard on getting the radar today to work, so okay, I got a new scan, so we'll update that. I have to use this mouse, that's right. It can get pretty confusing. There's the new scan. And I didn't quite capture this southern part. So let me do this. I'm going to go back. And we're going to draw this part. Alright. If I can get this to stay maximized here. And then I just need to move the source this way. Alright. So Halifax there in North Carolina just got, Jackson's about to get hit. You can see that overshooting top there. We're looking inside these thunderstorms. Pretty cool. We can look at the velocity. And the high velocities there showing up aloft. We do that more as a lit surface because it's hard to see the other way, as I just showed you. So I can lower the threshold here. There we go. And you can see the strongest winds. So if I wanted to look at where the 50-mile-per-hour winds are, they're aloft. Some of them are getting down to the ground here. Sometimes you can see tornadoes this way. You can lower it even more. See all the velocity. You can just see that part. It's a pretty neat feature. And it definitely shows you how the strong winds, let's see, they are up at about 30,000 to 50,000 feet, but they're as low as 2,000 feet because the rain's bringing that down with that bow echo moving through. Getting more damage reports coming in. Looking at a potential touchdown in West Virginia. Got some damage there by Weather Service folks. Go ahead and turn this off because I think our Franklin County folks have gotten most of those trees up. Okay. Or moved. They're not up anymore, are they? Trying to load the other alpha table. What's going on here? I think it's because I'm in velocity mode. Okay. Yeah, whenever you see a curve like that, they're going to get the same kind of damage we got, probably. I've already seen it around Roanoke Rapids. think I've got most of them here. Probably have a, there's a cool one that you can see inside. Shows the outer shell and then the inner one. I'm also keeping an eye on that storm. Right now we just have one, that's the one severe thunderstorm warning that's out. It's the one we're covering now. I thought I had a cool one saved. There's some directory you have to put these in. You have to be the administrator and go in and it can be hard. I can show you how you make these. You find one to start on. Alright, so let's just say I wanted to make this look a little different. I could get rid of the outer shell by taking down the alpha here, taking down that alpha to 0, by just kind of drawing a line through it. And you see it now I've got rid of everything. So let's make the reds come up some, and a spike. We'll include more. I'll do it in a downward area so the reds are solid, but the yellows are more transparent. So to do that, we need to do this. And then make this kind of look like that. We'll have that yellow transparent. We'll get rid of the green shell. And we'll bring the yellow up a little bit. Okay, and I like to put like the outer shell on it, so like we could do something like this, and that gets in the way of everything. So let me figure that out. I think there's a way to do it. I'll nix it first. There we go. Alright, so I like the blue outline myself. And then even the low outline maybe a little bit. Give it a little bit of... So now we're looking kind of inside. That's my own color table I just created. But this is a severe storm. Let me get the latest scan here for you, North Carolina folks, and you'll see it move. So since I'm happy with that color table, I will do that. We can move this around now. I might want to change the lighting a little bit. So I'll go up here. And I'll make the light in front of it if I can. It's behind it right now. And it's amazing what that difference does. I mean, this is all weather visualization. And this actual program is more to look at storms after the fact. But during, if I have time, I like to since we don't have much going on locally, I'm going into North Carolina, and we're going to check that out, because eventually I'm going to do the whole country. And since I don't think I'm going to have to worry about as much at a certain place anymore. All right. So I'm going to move this up a little bit, and then I'm going to take that mouse. There's probably one viewer maybe at this point. But there's a storm. See the overshooting top right there at 40,000 feet. Then you can see the updrafts. There's one right through here. There's another one here. See that hard shell there? There's your overshooting top. There's a big updraft there. Now we're looking inside the storm from the east back into it. So we're looking from behind now. And we're going to go into this storm so we can see this, see where Jackson's getting hit very hard there. And you see the higher reflectivities there, right where that wind is. Again, let's do this. Let's get you back. I'm going to make you sick. There we go. So Emporia is probably in the clear from the worst of it. There are a fair amount of reports coming in with that storm. Let me switch radar scope over to it. And there's some rotation in, well, there's an implied rotation in that line near Woodland. New scan just came in. It's kind of neat when you have everything fixed the way you want it, and then you can look at it as a loop in 3D. That's wild. Well, hopefully those folks in North Carolina listen to their local meteorologist. And if you are visiting my YouTube or whatever, or Facebook, and just know that I'm going to be more regular at doing this with time. Going to have to find some sponsors and do a lot of more work. And eventually I want to like a app and a Roku channel, but they cost so much. What we want to probably do as well, you've got that. So we did the 3D thing. That's called a lit volume surface. Just got a severe thunderstorm warning out east of Raleigh. So let me show you that. It's the one we were looking at. Now here's the new severe thunderstorm warning. I don't want to draw. I don't want to draw. I'm sorry. Let me get this back. Okay. Just so many damage reports. So much lightning too with these. Right near the radar. You know what? I'm going to switch back to my own. So we're going to go back here for a second. So here's where the storms are now near Raleigh. And again, that Roanoke Rapids one looks pretty intense. Let's see if I can put a track on this. It is not letting me track. It may just be because I haven't zoomed in enough. Or it may be because sometimes the program just gets tired. I can do a manual track. So let's see if we did a manual track on this. Moving east at 89 degrees at 53 miles per hour. Zebulon, 60 mile per hour winds. 3/4 inch hail. Raleigh. Right near Raleigh. So what we're going to do, trying to see where what's this face? The programmer, my buddy Paul, put the tracking. Should be in NextRad. Yes. Okay. Let's see it still. They've gotten rid of it. He's put it somewhere. I just can't find it. It's one of the reasons why he's letting me do this, because it can be complicated, but I've gotten kind of used to how to use it. I know it doesn't look like it at the moment. Might be in here. If I ever get my website going, I have so many versions of this. I'll have a version that posts automatically every few minutes, which I think would be cool. it looks like it would be in here. I mean, everything you would ever want to adjust is in here. The only thing is, it's hard to find sometimes. But this is a better program than when I worked at Channel 10 in Roanoke, and when I worked in Lynchburg at Channel 13. Well, especially at 10, we spent lots of money on, I mean, lots. I probably shouldn't say, I think I signed a non-disclosure, but it would, you could buy a car or a house with what we would spend. Then we had a monthly service rate just for the radar data and stuff. That was expensive. This is a $300 some program, and I think you can do it monthly now for $29, and then you can add on the extras like the lightning and the satellite. Satellite comes free, but you can do more satellite if you add the extras on. Well, it looks like he ain't gonna let me track. Got tracking stuff here. Yeah, I must have turned that off. Okay, so there's that type tracking. You used to be able to kind of draw your own. Okay, so getting back to the weather, more serious stuff. There you go, there's your times of arrival. Sorry about that. What in the world? Oh, I know why. So we're looking at it from southwest to northeast toward Virginia Beach. Now we're looking at it on a normal level. It's so close to Raleigh, we should look and we should do a little investigation here. So that's what I'm going to do. Because now when we look at this, and see, you can use different palettes. I've got this palette, but there's all kinds of different radar palettes you can use. I'm curious to see the velocity. This is some incredibly storms right near the radar. So right off the ground, they're looking at 47 to 50 miles per hour right there in that area. I mean, it shows you the very small areas. I mean, see how a beam is really tiny near the radar, and then you go farther out, and one little pixel is actually taking up several parts of a neighborhood, several parts of your county. I thought I saw a gustnado across the field and did a paper on it, and found that the National Weather Service radar pixels would not even have picked it up. Also, the fact that they don't have any radars in between Raleigh and Greenville, Spartanburg, and our radar up here, they don't have anything in Winston-Salem. The National Weather Service lets them aim the radar a little lower. So normally we would see 0.5 degrees. They made it 0.2 for all the North Carolina radars, and that lets the beam go farther out and get more information out further. But they do need to probably, at some point put something in. Greensboro, Winston-Salem area deserves to have their own radar. Brad Panovich has been a big proponent of that. Sometimes when the storms move right over the radar, you'll get attenuation of the beam. There's your cone of silence. The radar can't go straight up. Let's try a different color table really quick. See the outflow boundary there? That's the cool air coming out ahead. If I show you the spectrum width, you should see gray, and then you'll see some orange right there at that white and yellow and orange. Right in through here. See the gray? That's the cool air. It shows up as it doesn't move at all. It's very settled. It's very stable. That's through here right now. And I'm sure Raleigh folks, the Weather Service, they're hoping these lightning strikes don't hit their radar. So now that I'm not using the computer across the room, this might be a little easier. And you'll see the effect of the radar not being able to see everything. You'll see kind of a cone that goes up. See that? That's because the radar's here and it can't go up everywhere. So maybe not the right near the radar then, huh? Let's go. I still think these storms are interesting down through here, so we're going to look at that. I'm trying to get it. Yeah. Pittsburgh here. This is the next cell coming out. Show a little bit more of the structure of this thing. It's kind of a weird overshooting top there. Trying to get the outer shell, but still being able to see. I want that inner part to be pretty solid. It's pretty wicked looking. I don't know. There's really no organization or anything to that. Let's look at it in time here. I've only got 2 frames. So we're getting just the edge of that. But again, depending on how you look at it, you can do something like this. So that you can go inside the storm and see exactly what's going on and move it around any way you want to. Here's the base velocity. So we're singling out the highest winds. Sometimes you can see like a real big downdraft go right down to the ground, which is pretty nuts. Anyway, I think I'm going to sign off here in a second. Appreciate everybody watching. Sorry for not being on. Let me do this though. Before I do, we've got a lot of damage reports that just came in. We continue to get those, so let me pull those up for you. Well, they're on another. Not showing up here. Let's just make it happen elsewhere. On our weather tap. Let me get rid of some stuff here so it's easier to see. So we're just looking at counties. And actually I'm going to do a real simple map. There we go. You see those tracks there, pretty impressive. So let's look at the newest ones we're getting here, and you'll be able to read them, I hope. I'll read them for you. 8:25, Gretna, thunderstorms blew 3 trees near the intersection of Isaac Walton Road and Blue Ridge Drive. You know, when you get one like this is probably 5 reports and 1 in Franklin County. We're getting more now coming out of southern Franklin County and Henry County. Thunderstorm winds blew a tree, Hickory Hill Drive. That was at 4:14, one of the earlier storms. 6:46, we had a tree down on Figsboro Road. Winich Hill at 4:27. At 8:06, had another tree down on Chatham Road. Tree down on Dillon's Fork Road near the ramp to 2. I think that was what we saw in VDOT, if you were watching. Near the lake in Bassett, had a tree down on Craig Road, Patrick County. Law enforcement, numerous trees blown down near the intersection of Jeb Stewart Highway and Trot Valley Road. A nearby personal weather station recorded a 52-mile-per-hour gust at the time. So they hit hard at Stewart. Several trees were blown down multiple locations in the town of Stewart. Patrick County really got hit hard. Meadows of Dan, maybe it's the elevation too. Meadows of Dan, several trees blown down multiple locations in the community of Meadows of Dan. Then we had 1.25-inch hail at 7:10 there in Surrey County. Multiple trees down at 8:04 in southwest Surrey County. Let's see if I've got everything back in the NRV. Told you about the Carroll County storm where at the Franklin County at 7:15, 15-inch diameter trees down. I don't know how many, but it was enough to say several trees. Smith County had a large tree on a house. Large tree down just to the north of there. A couple of large trees down in Saltville. Caswell County had trees down. Look at all of these in Dickinson. Now that storm meant business. Oh, that was this morning. So let's go to Danville now because these are just coming in. We've got Forestdale Drive, got a tree down there. Tree onto a power line on Westover, Waller Lane. North into Gretna, we've got trees down. Multiple trees in Ringgold. I think we already went over that. Let's see. Anything new up here? No. A lot of tree damage. And then what we were worried about, what I was worried about, down here across North Carolina, a lot of trees down in Forsyth County. Near the Piedmont Triad, power outages at the airport. I mean, wow. Tree reported down at intersection of Pinecroft Road, Guilford County, closed in Liberty Road, both closed in both directions. So yeah, that storm was rotating and at least should have been warned at some point. It was spinning. Now here's the thing. I wanted a tornado warning in Surrey County earlier. I noticed that rotation. We've got one injury. Numerous trees and power lines down in multiple locations in Boonville. At least one tree was blown down onto a home and another blown down on a car. One of the fallen trees resulted in an injury. That was at 8:10 p.m. in Yadkin County. And if you go back on my stream and look, you'll see where I was looking at that wind and wondering why we didn't have some kind of tornado warning. I hope the National Weather Service does a survey of this area because they need to be honest and, find out. All right. We've got some rain that's redeveloped now in Charlotte County, though. That's about it. The trees down in Johnson City. You see them covering the entire area, huh? Well, I hope you enjoyed everything. I kind of want to show you a behind the scenes look at everything. I don't know if I can or not with this. I had to use this old webcam today, and it gave me so much trouble. So stand by. I try to let you see what I had set up. So let's do this. Got to get this backlight turned down, I think. Yeah. There we go. So, this is my OBS where I have everything coming in. You can see it there. Of course, now everything's going to be dark. Brighten it up a little bit here. Just a little bit. I even tried to use my good camera that I used to use, and I couldn't get my computer to take it. It was a very hard day. Alright, I'm going to get this where, yeah, you can see a little bit more. I could spend hours fine-tuning this. Okay, so here's the mic I'm using. I have an earplug here. This is my keyboard. I use that for Adobe. I've got 6 monitors up here. Each one, this one comes off of the laptop here. I can't really show you. This is the main computer I'm using. I can't show you what's on the laptop. That's the National Weather Service chat. When I do radio for B99 and voiceovers, I use this mic. There's my scanner, one of many. This is my switcher. So that's what I've been using to pull up different sources. Like if I put that up there, you can see as I switch it, I've got different, I don't have anything in 2. I've got the computer there. It's 8 inputs. There's 7, input 7, input 8 is nothing now. So I must have minimized something. And then down here, I've got 9 Rokus, but I'm using it this time to monitor my different inputs. But see, these are also inputs that I have. And I never used it tonight, but I had a Twitter page. Let's see if I can get that moved up. Alright, so this was going to pop up. And let me get rid of that. So you would be able to see the alerts as they came in. And I was going to refresh them here because everything was, there's your Yadkin County power pole blown, shed blown over. That was 4 minutes ago. So that just came out. I'm trying to find the way where it'll manually refresh and I can interact with it or whatever. But didn't have much luck. So anyway, that was that. So we'll turn the Twitter off. And it went away there. Let's show you. So display 2 is this. So all I do is I move it up, and that's this monitor or whatever's on this screen. And I'll just minimize stuff and like here show you stuff. There's your power outages. By the way, let's just look at that by county. You see them going down. We were in red. And I was monitoring up here too. Now we've got flood advisories out. You know, and I can pull that up if I do this. Just go here and the other display capture. Voila. Anything up there now. So I'm going to have the ATEM on, which is pulling up the thunderstorms that we had earlier from the National Weather Service. Pretty neat, as you can see them flaring up like that 3D nature to them, you know. And let's see. It's one of my one of the things I use to do weather with. I've got maps in the background and other computers all the way back there. Cables ran all through here to this switcher basically, and then within OBS I do stuff as well, and then within Restream you're able to get get the stuff you need there. So, you got 10,000 allergists. And looks like Henry counties went up, so did Albemarle's counties. Franklin County's going down now because they're getting a handle on it. You can see the wind shear. Well, you can't see the wind shear because I've got it crazy. Let me put it up for you. See, the wind shear is going away with time. I mean, that's a good thing. This monitor up here is tied into my switcher as well. It was separate. I use HDMI splitters. So this is my Mac, and then this is the Radar Omega software, which has its own neat little features. They do something in 3D, but it's not true 3D. Let me show you what I'm talking about. It's just based on the intensity of the preset, but it's not a true representation of what's really going on in the storm, like I was showing you a second ago. So for kicks, I'll show you though. So hit 3D. Actually, I don't know if I can with the mouse do this. Yeah, I don't know how to do it with a mouse. But anyway, it stacks up. It's pretty cool. The satellite will do that too. Let's see. So you get to choose. We're going to do the mesoscale because they should have had us in the mesoscale today. Probably do. And we're going to can't use visible, but we can use long wave infrared. And they cut it off right at the worst spot. So the other one's going to, pick up there. I got you. And there's a clean one too. Let's go to a cleaner one. There you go. But I can't do the 3D for you. I don't know how to do that. Anyway, I can investigate values here. I can draw. I can do two things at one time. Apparently I can do, two satellites at one time there. I can take off when I do 3D, I can take off the stuff. And you can see how it's been moving out of the area, but kind of stalling in North Carolina and really hitting High Point hard. And you can, get the storm reports this way too, off of this program. Got water vapor as well. Just a lot of stuff, almost too much I can use. They'll do computer models. So I've never used this for models. Let's see. And you can do that in 3D. That's pretty wild. So those are forecast temperatures. Let's see what it's got. Sea level pressure. Yeah. Too impressive, is it? There's a forecast of reflectivity that they had. And how do you, let's see. You select the run up here. It's cool that you can do it 3D. Where's the, to use this? Yeah, it loads, and then at the bottom, you scroll through it. So anyway, these are the storms pushing out. And then behind it, Wednesday at 10, this is trying to show something, but I don't think anything is going to happen. Let's check out the clouds. There's the Euro. I didn't know you could do this. It doesn't have much on the Euro. So like if you're doing temperature, you would let it load. And can you investigate that? Yes. So let's see, what's tomorrow? Wednesday? 8 a.m. Get pretty chilly up in the Highlands. Sometimes the Euro's a little extreme and it's too cool at times. That's pretty exact though. I'm going to be doing regional 7 days with time here. Let's see when the next chance of rain is. Okay, I don't like that. Precipitation rate. I guess it'll be about the closest thing to forecast radar. Oh, that looks weird. Very low detail. Hey, they gotta work on that one. Jeez. Alright. This one's got better. It's the GFS. It's a new run, so it hasn't gone out all the way. So what do you look at the 12Z? Let that load. Alright, so we're talking about cutting hay. Let me I'll have to get rid of my inspection there. Let's see. Yeah, don't need that, don't need that. Okay. So, let's hope things are... See, I haven't had time to look at the forecast. So, this was today. There we go, clearing out. Storms pushing south. This is Wednesday, Thursday. Notice the front in the Great Lakes. Friday's still quiet, and then Saturday, I don't think it's going to be rainy all day, but we've got that one little shot of showers coming through. And right now it looks like it's 11 a.m. to 2, and then it clears out by 5. But anyway, I have all kinds of stuff. Got another computer I was going to set up over here. And I've got my little storm thing there. That's about it. Just love doing this for you, and I hope you enjoyed it. And hopefully next time I'll, be more ready each time, as I'm hoping to get this done. So thanks so much for still watching, all of you. I can't imagine. I've been streaming for hours now. I thought I needed to make up. I wanted to make up for not being there earlier. Okay. That's it. I'll talk to y'all later. That's a good profile. Oh, and by the way, looks like my phone fell. I was doing TikTok live, and I think the phone just fell. So for all I know, I'm still live on TikTok with no phone, phone fell in the bag. That's funny. That might go viral. All right, go to my TikTok and laugh at the behind the scenes stuff.